and showing up. Thank you so much for being here today. To open us up in a good way, I'm going to welcome Mr. Paul Chiyokten Wagner to the stage. He's going to deliver our territorial acknowledgement. Chiyokten has been a land defender from the Wasanich Nation. He stood up for lands, waters, and people all around the Salish Sea for many, many years. He's also the co-founder of the Protectors of the Salish Sea, and it is my humbling honor to welcome Chiyokten to the stage to get us going. Thank you so much.
How's everyone doing? You're looking very, very beautiful, and that prayerful walk that we did brought my heart a lot of good medicine, a lot of good feelings, and I'm so thankful we could be here today together and do the work that needs to be done. I'll introduce myself in our language so you can hear some of our languages here. Osiem, Stellat'en Siem, Janelle Lapointe, Chiyokten Sinasnach Stellat'en First Nation. Raise my hands to the Esquimalt. I raise my hands to the Songhees. Siem Stellat'en, Osiem, 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 Osiem. I raise my hands to them that we could walk prayerfully on the bones of their ancestors. And I want to acknowledge their strength and their heart, their indigenous heart for Mother Earth. I want to acknowledge the fact that they've taken care of this place and loved it like they would love their own child for thousands and thousands of years. That's right, you can make a noise for that. We have something to learn. We have something to learn from the First Peoples. As we know what has happened to the things that we have cared for and loved, and understood that we are unseparated from, have been extremely diminished, and as well as us Indigenous. So for us to be here today on these lands, sacred lands, the Esquimalt, Songhees, is an amazing thing to come here with a good heart. Right in front of this, whatever you want to call it. I don't know that this has brought the most loving medicine to the trees, or to the natural animals, or to our indigenous human bodies. But I do believe that each and every one of you, and the people that couldn't be here today, that strength and that love, that medicine, the indigenous medicine that we gather when we come together, when we sing these songs, we make these prayers and these words from our hearts, as you'll hear from these indigenous leaders that will speak. That's when we change this world. That's when we turn all of that has brought harm to what we've loved for so many thousands and thousands of years. We're turning it around. My mom came home crying once to her father and her mom because those nuns taught them to be mean when she was in the day school for a little bit, when she had escaped from the Alcatraz of what they call residential schools that were death camps. she'd escaped and she was back home. And then she was in the day school and the kids were taught to be mean to each other and disrespectful. And she came home crying because somebody was really, really terrible to her, the words they gave her. And her father, my grandpa Chiyokten, said, "Don't you ever let anyone make you cry." He said, "When someone does something that's not good to you or any of the things that we care for," he said, "you take that and you turn it around right now. You pray for that person." So in our prayers, we hold a prayer for all these so-called decision makers. We hold a prayer that they will make the right decision. That's right. You can make noise for that. Pray for their hearts, their Indigenous hearts, their Squelquins, their Noxamat, Hachusita, in different languages of our Coast Salish. That this sacred place right here, you can put your hand on your heart. In Lashutsi, it's called your hutch. And pray that this becomes full. And they become rich people like we were rich people. We were the richest people on the planet with love and understanding of our place, our human place amongst all other beings, and our human responsibilities. We were the richest people in the world before contact. Now we struggle to get the teachings to the young ones of who we are. But we can return to that together. Pray for their hearts, for their hands to move in the right direction for life, for their minds and their mouth to move the right words. I'll play for you a flute song. I was reprimanded for calling it I don't generally call it Native American flute, but they refer to it as that. So I refer to it as a Coast Salish flute, because I am Coast Salish. And this song came to me in dreams early in the morning. I could see our people, when I listened back, I could see our people playing on the beach and working hard, working together as families and communities, as we barely do anymore, and the communities don't exist like they did. But I could see our people laughing, working hard, poking fun at each other, and being free. We were the freest people on the planet too. But we'll return to that once the forests are well again. Once the natural animals come home and the salmon come home and all of those natural foods return, we'll be free once again. It's called Living Freely Upon the Land. I'll leave you with this prayerful song, Rosiyam. Osiem. Good to see everybody. Stay strong. Osiem. Nice to.
Oh, my toes are cold and my heart is full. How about you? Well, thank you so much, Chiyokten, for getting us started in a beautiful, beautiful way. And folks out there, forgive me, I'm going to look at my notebook at times because I'm a terribly anxious public speaker. All right. Louder in the back? Okay, sound, folks? Way louder. All right, I'm really close to the mic right now. Can you hear me now? Feels like a Zoom meeting. All right. Thank you, Chiyokten, for not only opening us up here, but also opening us up at Centennial Square. And thank you again, everyone who gathered there and celebrated in this artful, beautiful display of solidarity. Thank you so much again to all of you folks for being here. And thank you to all the drummers from many, many different nations that led the walk and got us started here as well before Chiyokten. We're so grateful for everyone for coming together here today, and especially the dozens, if not hundreds of people that have put so much time into making this happen today. Thank you. Before I forget, because I will, my name is Sonia Théroux, and I am a French-Canadian settler here on the Lekwungen territory, originally born in the Mi'kmaq territory out in eastern Canada. And I'm very blessed that I've been able to raise my son here in and around the coast, I just see. And I'll be hopefully hosting us in and around our speakers here today. You may not know this, but this rally was born of the United We Stand Declaration for Old Growth that has been endorsed by no less than 215 civil society organizations across sectors, labor, faith. Yeah, it's an enormous feat to organize organizations, and I think it's the way to be heard by government today. So thank you to everyone that's put in that work. I also wanted to just point out a few housekeeping notes for everybody. Potentially most importantly, the porta potties are just across the street over here on Menzies. There are flush toilets over in the museum if you want that as well. If you have any needs whatsoever that need to be accommodated to make sure that you're having a comfortable time here, look for volunteers with green armbands and they can help you. We've also got just over to my left, your right, there is an Indigenous Elders tent, as well as an info booth, which is a large tent over there, and a first aid booth if anyone needs that kind of support, and the nature education tent and the kids tent. So you'll find everything over on the left here if you need to mill about and keep your body warm. So why are we here today in front of this building? Well, today marks 100 days of Premier David Eby's new government. Wonderful coincidence. And so we're all here to join together loudly to call on him and his BC-NDP government to deliver on their promises that were delivered in the Old Growth Review 2 years ago. So we're expecting them by September of this year. And I think, as many of you know, if not all of you, protection of old growth is also inextricably and intimately linked with the fight for Indigenous rights. In fact, one of the founding signatories of the Declaration is the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. They were not able to send a speaker here today. You might know that they were quite busy this week, but I just wanted you folks to know that they are with us here in spirit. In fact, First Nations in BC are at the front lines of old growth and have been disproportionately impacted by all of these resource industry fights that we're battling. And many communities have stood up and spoken out for old growth. And in recent years, one of those strongest champions has been Chief James Hobart of the Spô'zêm First Nation. Chief Hobart is a proud and Kwakwaka'wakw elected leader, and as a son of teachers, he's lived in many, many regions across the province and has worked in resource industries such as logging, mining, and fishing. Chief James Hobart represents the only First Nations to still have the endangered northern spotted owls within their territory. And, good news, they have successfully achieved a 4-year deferral of logging on the spotted owl habitat. We also heard some good news this week. Thank you, land defenders. He stands here today to share his valued perspective on what is happening behind the scenes, on the ground and in this province. Let's raise our hands to greet Chief Hobart.
Well, thank you, everyone. How do you follow that? Actually, how do we follow all of this? I see kids, I see elders, and it's amazing to see you bring your kids out for this. Someday they're going to look back and say, I was there. I helped make the difference, because we will. So that was amazing. Anybody who was over at Centennial Square? I'm from the Spô'zêm First Nation. It's in Kwakwaka'wakw territory, and it's where the last spotted owl live in Canada. The last three, and two of them have been introduced this last summer. Three of them first, and then one of them connected with a train. He's okay, but at the same time, it shows you how fragile. We have one left that's from the wild, and so we consider them our messengers from the old growth. And if we consider one left, that means that we're not succeeding very well. This is my grandma. She's the grandma in the Storm of Light, which was painted by Carl Stromquist. You can see the cedar, the flared cedar butt, and she knows that someday, you can see as her hair going sideways, she's going to be buried and turn into cedar, and we'll still continue her life in the baskets that we weave. So I want to thank, first of all, the people of this territory for letting us do this work on their unceded yet occupied land. Also want to thank the incredible members of Spô'zêm First Nation, and I met some here today, for their ongoing support. And you're right, Chief Don Tom from the UBCIC Vice President this morning, he texted me, he said he can't be here, but he wanted to send his regrets, and he also asked me to lend my voice to the UBCIC, and it's an honor I don't take lightly. So yes, it's true, I'm standing here today, it's my birthday, and I'm kind of an old growth myself. And there's many places that I could be, but I'm choosing gladly to be here for this important event. So imagine, if you would, driving on a road somewhere. Can you hear me back there? Okay, can you imagine driving down a road and seeing a turtle on a fence post, and you know something for certain, it didn't get there by itself. And so today I feel like that turtle. So I want to thank the organizers for this event, and all of you for your dedication to such an important cause. Give yourselves a big hand. I would also be remiss if I didn't give a shout out for my support team, Joe Foy and the entire Wilderness Committee, Keegan Pepper-Smith and Eco Justice, and the commanding letter writer extraordinaire Squamish First Nation member Lenny Baker. Well, the current government think tank that created this latest old growth strategy touts it as though somehow they magically struck a sellable balance of conservation and extraction. I'm here to tell them that that dog don't hunt. It's based on arbitrary percentages, little or no substantial inclusion of the biodiverse ecosystems that are at stake, of which there are many. The government needs to shift their focus to sustainable management that respects ecosystems rather than exploits them. You can't have one without the other, yet it appears they want their cake and eat it too. So I'm going to ask them, how many ingredients can you take out of a cake recipe before it's no longer cake? And while via the media, the province sounds keen on conservation, they continue to auction off living homes of hundreds of species, plants, animals, and medicine. With anti-bullying days just passed, perhaps we need to fit these old growth giants with pink t-shirts of their own. And folks, I'm not insensitive to those who are in the industry. I'm not, and they're not, the enemy. Some of my best friends are Native. Oh wait, how did that page get out of the government's handbook in my notes? We hear that all the time, right? The reality is it's poor management from past governments, as well as some logging companies that have created this gross imbalance. I mean, I could show you multiple forests in the dwarfed in my territory that fell victim to the contractual follow through from loggers, or lack of it, replanting forests, and the government just took them to court instead of just saying, hey, we got to plant those. And so years later, they're trying to fill that gap with the old growth. That's not our fault, and that's not the fault of the old growth. So trust me though, if there was even one old growth tree wasting space and oxygen, I would tag it myself to help those earn their living in the forestry sector. Yet that's not the case. The giants of our forest that are now gone are gone forever, leaving an insatiable void that echoes through those few giants we have left. Now for a visual, hey Grandma, if we compare the BC's 2021 recovery plan and their 2023 drafts, 3 years later, it decreased the identifiable critical habitat by more than 100,000 hectares. And I, for one, would like to see the science that justifies that pen stroke. On one hand, this government is dedicated to rebuild this northern spotted owl habitat, while on the other hand, BCTS is auctioning off old growth directly in the path of the northern spotted owl habitat. So clearly this government has too many hands. I'm feeling disappointed, but yet justified in the news release 2 days ago that the federal minister Galbo stepped in to support the Spô'zêm First Nation efforts in warding off the current bullying tactics against our remaining northern spotted owl by calling out our province for attempting to do the bare minimum. I'm also not naive, nor should any of us be, that this government has inherited many dire issues that puts them in the crosshairs, and that's a place I know well. Yet it's necessary to create from status quo. We have, as my good friend Grand Chief Stewart Phillip from the UBCI would say, is reconciliation is not for wimps. So it's time for this government to forward think, then hydroplane over the crap of the industry. This same government has shown guts. They garnered unanimous support for the implementation of DRIPA. It's time they focus their lens on this ominous issue and let there be no more talking while logging old growth. They've already said the words. They've already said these words. Now they need to match those brave words with action. Kuchtem.
I am holding Chief Hobart hostage on the stage here today because it is his birthday. And is it really a revolution if we don't have a sing-along? Chiyokten, once again, everybody.
Okay, y'all have to join in. This one's in English. Okay, and yeah, clap your hands in the backside. Join in. This is a super fun song. We'll sing a song for Chief James Hobart. OCM. loud.
I missed that. Can we start over? Thank you, everybody.
Oh, that was fabulous. That was fabulous. One thing that I think binds all cultures across the world is music and art and culture and story. And we're going to have another performance here shortly. But I just have been told that there's a little bit of shenanigans happening here with the speakers so that we can better serve those of you at the back. The idea is we're going to raise these speakers and then you in the back can hear us better. All right. Do we still need Karen Price to come up to the stage? If she's not up here yet, we're looking, well, I should say backstage, looking to connect with Karen Price, one of our speakers later on. So this first performance, if you were not moving your feet just now, use this opportunity to move your body in one way or another, keep yourselves warm, but also so that we're all connected to the music we're about to graciously witness. Our first performance, well, now our second performance, is a local German group that has been performing for 8 years, and they represent different First Nations people across Treadle Island. Answer 2 learns from knowledge keepers, past and present, and they're committed to building respectful relationships and to serving and protecting the environment through traditional teachings. Using language, history, storytelling, and laughter, they strive to inspire others to care for Mother Earth. Medicines are at the root of their performances, and they will bring out the medicine animals behind me. It's delightful. The bears for us today. Please remember to move your bodies in whichever way your body lets you, and let's welcome Answer 2.
We are Answer 2. The one sitting at the drum, I pulled in. That's what we do as Indigenous people. When there's empty chairs, we make do. I'd like to start off with a chant. I'd also like to up here. Okay. I'd like to acknowledge the territory of the Songhees and the Esquimalt speaking people today. Their beautiful lands, their medicines, their trees, their culture, their spirituality. I'd also like to acknowledge their neighbors, the Malahat, the Saikum, the Pakuchin, the Sartla, the Sayot, Suk, Skiano, and all the nations up and down the coast that gathered here and left a footprint. Uklama Yatsuitsaks. It means going from beach to beach. I got a name from my late great-grandmother from Pacheedaht, Cecilia Williams, in a time when our culture was almost still. Histakshata Umaas, Port Alberni. Lots of it was a logging town when I grew up. 4 mills. Every day. Smoke coming out. Big logging trucks. Trying to run us over on our reserve. It was a game to them. Pacheedaht, Exuma. I'm from the Stellat'en First Nation. We just had our ground penetration reveal on Tuesday. I was there. My mother went. Oh, they can't. Can you hear me now? No. I can't. Can you hear me now? Oh. Wow. I'm from Pacheedaht First Nation. We just did a ground reveal on Tuesday. I grew up by that residential school and my mother and father went there. I'd like to start off with a chant from the Pacheedaht Nation. This chant opens up the spirit worlds and helps the ancestors, our helpers, come down today. In New Chalnas, we use a rattle only for the chant. My great-grandfather, Sam Campbell, was a canoe builder, worked closely with the forests. He was also 114 when he died. This chant asks the Creator to help us. We can say a prayer today for the old growth, that they may stand until they are naturally felled. We are here, grandfathers, the old growth. Humis, the red cedar tree, the one that gives us everything we needed. Before contact, Cedar rooted our communities. In our homes, the huge, massive cedar trees raised up for our families to live communally in a shared environment that was rich in forests, rich in the oceans, rich in our longhouses. We were gardeners. We were the harvesters. We were the gatherers. Homies. We brush ourselves to cleanse the negativity. Homies, the cedar tree that grows all along up and down the coast, so straight and long for our canoes, so we could paddle from one community to the next. Paddle way out as the New Chalmers did to hunt the largest animal, the whale. Hunting with ritual, with family gathering, hunting the largest animal. Tuchmapt, the spruce tree we use when it's so important, when there's someone almost dies or there's an accident. We use those strong, sharp needles to brush off all of the negativity in our ceremonies. Tuchmapt, the spruce. Kwakwaka'wakw. Kwakwaka'wakw. Sometimes called chumismup, the hemlock. So sweet. Hemlock, we use it to put under our beds at night. Kakmup, the alder tree, used for our paddles, for their strength. We are here for you, grandfathers. We are here to help you. I brought the medicine bears today. We all need medicines.
Thank you.
Home to all the forest animals, the old growth, where the Sasquatch lives, the wild man, Pukmis, in our stories, the wild woman, the little people. The old growth have known our ancestors for over 500 years and more. They know our stories. They tell us how to pick our medicines. They connect us. The old growth connect us. When the bears bring up the sockeye salmon into the woods, we are connected to the medicine waters that go up the Somas River. We are connected when Chims the bear brings the remains of the fish and lays it ever so gently on the foot of the old growth, so they may provide nourishment. They will get nourished, and their roots start to spread from tree to tree, from moss, the beautiful moss on the ground. We are connected. Hishuk-ish Zawak. Everyone say, Hishuk-ish Zawak. We are all one. What happened to our communities? The longhouse communities, where we had no locks on our door. We had no overdoses, no child apprehensions, no homelessness. What happened to our communities? In 1778, the first ship came up, and then there was a flood of ships. What they saw wasn't our beautiful and strong way of living. They saw resources. And to get those resources, they had to stereotype us. And did they ever do a good job? I want to thank all you allies today. We need you. We need your allies to help us overcome the systemic stereotyping, racism. What happened to our forests? I grew up listening to my great-grandfather chopping, building the last 2 canoes in our village. What happened to our old growth? Mac and Blow came into Port Alberni before I was born. We saw the devastation. We smelt the devastation. And we got poorer and poorer. They weren't looking for the old growth then, but they sure are now. The old growth. Why are we wanting to protect them? Why do we feel the need to protect the old growth? They are the wisest ones. They are the oldest ones. They are the ones that connect us back to who we are. They are the last homes, the original homes of all of our animals. When the last tree is chopped down, what are we going to do? Where are all the loggers going to go? They're screaming and yelling. That is our livelihood. They bring their children as props. Look what you're doing, taking away our livelihood. Mother Earth is crying. Mother Earth is changing. Mother Earth has to change so that we can stop completely and leave our old growth alone. Today, as you gather, I want to have the bears dance for you. The bear will come off the floor, and I would like the ancestor mask to come and dance. The ancestor mask will represent all the ancestors that have talked with the old growth forests to bring the message. We all need to bring the message. They're going to sing Chief Dan George's song. Yeah! I have some singers here. We all pitch in, we all make do. I would like to ask if there was anyone here who would like to put on the bear skin and come and dance up here with me. Do I have any? Okay, come on. The first one. The bear, the four-legged's the one that live in the forest. They are our teachers. Yes. They are our teachers. You see them in all of our legends. You don't see humans teaching humans in our legends. It's the animals teaching us. They are the smart ones. They know the cycle of life. They know the connections. We have lost our way. The greed is so deep. Our connection to the animals, to Mother Earth, Father Sky, Grandmother Moon, Grandfather Sun is broken, and we need to get that back again. Grandmother Moon monitors the waters. Grandmother Moon divides the days. Grandfather Sun provides healing. Grandfather Sun provides growth for everything. old growth forests. Soon the animals will have no home, and they'll resort to coming into our driveways, where we soon phone to shoot them. We're on their territory. Why kill the old growth forests? You tell us. You come and tell us while you drive a car. You live in a wooden home. You chop down tree after tree during Christmas. We are trying our best to turn that around. We're trying our best to help Mother Earth recover. And let's not stop. I stand here a proud Nuchalnas woman. I am going to bring out our whale hunter mask and have these wonderful singers sing a short song to end it. Once again, I thank you all, the allies of the old growth forest, our grandfathers, the wisest ones, the ones who hold the most knowledge on Mother Earth besides the rocks. Grandfather rocks. We need them. They are our medicine. Everything is medicine. But the older we get, the more medicines we have. And that includes the old growth. the strong warriors in the 60s and 70s, and you are the strong warriors of the 2023.
television networks at all? Do you see any of those cameras? Like CTV or CBC?
Oh my goodness.
I'm not sure.
Are you moved? Did you move? Did you pump your fist? Everyone, a hearty thank you. Make some noise. Like some little logo. I'm going to make it work. So I would be remiss if I didn't point out that, you know what? It has taken so much time, so much effort from hundreds of people, thousands of hours of labor went into this, labor of love. And also, you know, it costs a little bit of money. Some of you have had time to put into this, and some of you have not had time to put into this. Some of you may have some funds that you can put into this. Now, if the idea of parking with $5 or $10 causes you stress, I'm not talking to you. In fact, long live the economic revolution. However, if it is in your means, there are people milling about here that have blue armbands, and they would very, very gratefully accept your donation for supplies, promotional materials, the event, the equipment that you see here today, and also so that we can compensate folks that are coming up here and sharing their experiences with us. So please, if you can, contribute. It has taken years to get here. We will continue vigilantly calling on this government, and so all of your funds will help us toward that end. And if you don't see somebody with a blue armband, you can head over to the info booth as well. Please consider giving what you can to make sure that we keep this momentum going. All right, now some of you might be feeling a little chilly, so if you're standing next to somebody you know, maybe now is a good time for a warm cup. Or maybe you've seen Dr. David Suzuki milling about. He's going to be joining us a little later, and we want to make sure that you're all still here for that. And I'm a little bit clumsy in letting you know that I had a hard time sleeping last night because of our surprise guest that is coming out a little later. You don't want to miss that. You really don't want to miss that. This person is a legend. It is a personal musical hero for me. Very much looking forward to that. So find a way to stay warm. Please stay with us. We've just experienced this beautiful, beautiful performance by Answer 2. What a gift. Thank you again. And just as this movement is uplifted and connected through collective creativity all around you, thank you artists, and through music, it is also very much grounded in science. So our next speaker is one of the leading experts on old growth ecosystems. And like so many of us, she grew up feeling that deep connection to the sacredness of our natural ecosystems. By passion and profession, Dr. Karen Price is an ecologist working at the intersection of primary old growth systems, climate change, and land use planning. She was among 3 independent scientists, along with her colleagues Rachel Holt and Dave Joust, that sat on the provincial old growth technical advisory panel. So grateful for that work. She's visiting us all the way from her log cabin in the interior of the province on Stellat'en Territory. Please, please get warm and welcome Dr. Karen Price.
Thank you. Oh, that's loud. Now I'm supposed to stand back from the speakers. Doing some sound check. Hey guys, this has been so amazing, and I would like to thank everyone here. I would like to thank the landholders, the speakers, all of the amazing people that are organizing this, and every one of you, because you matter to the forests, because you matter to the earth, because you matter to humanity. We're in this together. I also want to thank everybody who's been working to change the way that we interact with ecosystems, with the earth, who couldn't be here, including some of the folks that work in this building behind us, who are working to try and change the system from within, which is tough. Change seems slow. Change is slow. But you know what? Together we have changed the conversation. We have made a shift. We've broken the inertia, and now all we need to do is to keep the momentum. So what I'm going to do today is, we want to know what we're going to do next. So I'm gonna give you 3 specifics and then 1 big idea. So let's start with the specifics. Number 1. We just heard an announcement that the government has repealed, the province has repealed the legal regulations that prioritize timber above ecosystem health and community well-being. This really matters because it opens up the space for policy change. We now can change the policy because the law doesn't tell us that we can't. This is awesome. don't change the policy, then it's purely symbolic word mongering. And that's not what we need. We need to change the policy. So right now, you know what the policy says? It says that we can only have a 4% impact on timber supply for old growth and biodiversity, plus 1% for wildlife. 5% is all we can have. Yeah, like, no wonder we're in this mess. We planned this. And the problem is that this 5% cap is in most of our current land use plans, and it's in all of the annual allowable cut determinations. So number one, remove the policy caps. Remove the caps. Number two, we heard about some more old growth deferrals. Sounds good, right? Okay, well, let's think about it a bit. First, I think you guys probably all know, deferrals are not protection. Deferrals are just a pause to give us time so that we can plan, so that there's old growth left to plan with. Okay, we know that, but more importantly, we need to know what type of forests have been deferred. So are these like really big old growth in the valley bottoms that we're going to be harvested in the next 2 years? Or are they remnant, small treed old growth high up on the mountain that no one was going to touch for the next 10 years? If that's the case, that's not a deferral. You can't defer something if it wasn't going to be harvested in the first place. So we need to know. And so here's number two. When you're talking to your politician buddies, we want transparency. So we need to know which forests have been deferred, which ones haven't, and which ones are getting logged right now, because I know up where I live, they're targeting the deferrals. So transparency is number two. Number three, we need big tree old growth. That's so important for our biodiversity crisis and our climate crisis. It plays a role in all of this. So we know that the big tree old growth, they're the heart of watersheds and the lungs of the planet. And we know that second growth growing up after a clear cut is not a forest, it's a plantation. And it is a virtual ecological desert. So if you think of an old growth forest as an ancient village with diversity, with complex interrelations, that's self-sufficient and resilient, then a second growth plantation is kind of like a work camp. It's uniform, it's disconnected, and it's unstable. And that's what we're turning our province into. Let's think about climate. We need big tree old growth for carbon. And here, I'm going to tell you guys, this is some new analysis that we've done, so hot off the press, or at least hot off Dave's computer. We hear a lot about planting trees for the climate. So we thought, let's look at the benefits of planting trees. Let's compare that to old growth. So you guys probably know that the federal government has committed to plant 2 billion trees over the next 10 years. Sounds like a lot. Yeah, probably it's not enough. But let's think about what else that means. We ran a carbon model. These 2 billion trees over 10 years. Now, 2 billion trees, if you plant them at standard stocking, it covers more than 1 million hectares. Sounds like a big area. Okay. Now, if we run big tree old growth through the same carbon model, if we want to have the same carbon benefit as 2 billion trees, we need, wait for it, we need to leave 500 hectares of big tree old growth standing. 500! So like 1 million hectares of trees, 500. The other way around is for every 500 hectares of big tree old growth we cut down, we got to plant 2 billion trees. This certainly makes the federal commitment look rather small. nature-based solutions, so we need to be leaving these big trees old growth standing. So that's point 3. So, point 1. We need to remove the policy caps so that we can start looking after ecological health. Point 2. We want the government to be transparent. They say they're doing better, and I actually believe them. I believe they're trying to do better, so trust us and tell us what you're doing. And number 3, leave the big tree old growth standing because we need it. So those 3 all fit into the big picture. Now the big idea is what you've all been hearing about since the overall strategic review. You did awesome work. The paradigm shift. Now what's a paradigm shift? We need to change our forest management paradigm from focusing on timber and shareholder profit to focusing on ecological health and human communities. And a paradigm shift it's not tinkering with numbers, which is what governments always try to do because it's really scary to make big change. A paradigm shift is transformation. We have to rediscover our relationship with the earth so that we can all understand, as the folks on this stage before me have so eloquently put it, that we are all connected. Everything is one. Hishak ish soa. Indigenous cultures who live close to the land have always known this. And Western scientists, we're a bit slow, but the last decade or 2, we're figuring it out too. Just push back, we're doing pretty well, I think. But the forest management hasn't caught up, and it needs to, because you know what? We need to not only understand it in our heads, but we have to feel that connection in our hearts. Until everyone feels that they are connected to the earth and to everybody else out here, we're not going to look after ecological integrity. So we need to feel that connection. So what can we do for that? Okay, well, I'm going to say, all of you guys are all here, so you're obviously working towards it. So I'm going to say work within your comfort zone, or those of you with capacity, work outside of your comfort zone. And do what you can. And this could look like a number of things. It could look like coming to rallies and protests like this. You know that grassroots activity is super important. The government talks to us as scientists because of you guys. So it's by saying you matter. Like, I've seen it. So do that. Another thing it could involve is looking at all of the fine print. We need everybody to know what's going on. So read the fine print, know the numbers, talk to politicians, talk to industry folks, make sure that you've got a common understanding of the numbers, because that's really important too. It could be working with the new forest landscape plans in your region. It could be, as invited, working with nations who are reclaiming land stewardship. It could be educating kids. And what it is spending as much time as you possibly can in nature. We need to do that as a species for our survival. So get out, walk, sit in nature, and more importantly, take your friends and relatives who aren't used to it and take them off the trail so that they can learn how to feel connected to. Now, in the spirit of moving beyond the comfort zone, I'm going to move beyond mine even more than standing up here. I'm a scientist. I write papers. I don't speak to amazing crowds like this. And I'm going to end up by singing a song. So I'm going to share a song. One day I was feeling ecological grief and despair, and I'm kind of guessing that most of you know what that feels like. And so I went for a walk in the woods, which is what I do. And I climbed up a hill and I sat there and I looked over the mountains and the valleys. And I asked the earth to support me. I asked for her help. And I sat there, and when I got up, this song was in my head. So this song is a gift from the earth and from my mom, who recently died. It's a kid's song, and it's about changing our relationship with the earth. It's about the paradigm shift. It's called Dancing with the Earth. And now when I feel despair, I walk in the woods, and I sing this song, and it gives me strength. And so I wanted to share it with you guys in case it might help you too. Of course, there's a sing-along chorus. It would be, it's pretty simple. It goes, let's dance and stay for a while. The idea is we've got to dance on the earth if we want to, or dance with the earth if we want to stay here for a while. And also it's a dancing song, so we're chilly, so feel free to move. And I'm just going to sing this a cappella. If you dance on the earth, she'll be happy. If you dance on the earth, she'll smile. But if you dance with the earth, she'll dance with you. So let's dance and stay for a while. Your turn. Let's dance and stay for a while. If you dance so lightly, she'll giggle. If you dance so lightly, she'll smile. If you dance so lightly, she'll fill you with love. So let's dance and stay for a while. You, let's dance and stay for a while. If you dance to her rhythm, she'll dance back. If you dance to her rhythm, she'll smile. If you dance to her rhythm, she'll keep on giving. So let's dance and stay for a while. Let's dance and stay for a while. Let's dance, then we can stay for a while.
Hello? Yes. Thank you everybody for your patience. Wow, that was loud. I am getting word that our surprise guest is on their way up, and so we're actually going to switch things around a little bit. But I don't really want to do the big reveal until we're moments away. So while we're waiting, those of you that put together some of this art, can you make some noise, raise your hands, be seen, be thanked? Who among you put together these signs, these puppets, this art? Everyone, thank you. Raise your hands and make some noise for the folks that brought us the beauty today. The beauty that warm our hearts, keep us warm from the inside. I'm just looking around for all my heart, I tell you, my stomach is stretched. Ladies and gentlemen, our next performer is someone that soundtracked a good chunk of my youth and may well have done so for a lot of you as well. Last night I was listening to Revolution Blues, in case anybody has some Revolution Blues these days. A little bit of a hint for you. sort of on the beach on repeat. I cannot tell you how absolutely humbling. If I get clues about crying, it'll be a flipping miracle. Ladies and gentlemen. Make the biggest noise in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, first I want you to welcome Ms. Daryl Hannah and Mr. Neil Young.
Brain freeze, so I apologize. I'm really happy to be here to stand in solidarity with you and speak up for the trees. I understand there are a lot of complexities to this situation, but there are also a lot of simple truths. So in protecting old-growth forests, we're also saving ourselves. Not destroying the ancient forests, these ecosystems on our land and in our water bodies is the first place to start, the first line of defense, and literally the first solution that should be employed in order to adequately address our climate crisis. Despite all the necessary and the complexities, the necessary and simple answer is to do no more harm, no further destruction. Love, support, and respect your elders, our veritable life support systems, and please lend your support to another type of elder, your fellow Canadian from a small town in Ontario.
Comes a time when you're drifting. Comes a time when you settle down. Comes a light, feelings lifting. Lift that baby right up off the ground. Oh, this whole world keeps spinning. So wonder tall trees ain't laying down. Comes a time. You and I, we were kind.
there, and it's a beautiful, it's a precious, sacred thing. These old trees, because they show us the power of nature when we are being threatened. They show us the past, and they show us our future. And that's something that I hope our Canadian government and business section will recognize, that this has to do with Canada. It has to do with the ages, if we're lucky enough to have ages. And these trees have lasted so long, they deserve Canada's respect.
But this man, upon being asked not many days ago, hopped on a train to Vancouver, hopped on over the pond to join us here today to give you that gift. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, Daryl. You know what, though? We have so much more hope and powerful voices still coming for you. Some of you may have written letters to the government for old growth. Many of you have probably shown up to a lot of rallies like this. And beyond some of those moving parts of movement building, there are actual people that put their bodies on the line as well and get in the way of logging to protect those trees Neil just reminded us to protect. Most recently, you might have heard, the Fairy Creek blockades were the largest civil disobedience act recorded in history. You got the world's attention, you got the world's attention, let's keep doing that. Thousands of people put their bodies on the line and their lives on hold. Over 1,000 of them were in fact arrested. And we're about to hear from two folks that are at the beating heart of this movement. It is my honor to next bring up Elder Bill Jones and Rainbow Eyes. Elder Bill is of the Pacheedaht Nation, and he grew up with teachings of the spiritual importance of the forest, and later worked as a logger, and in recent decades has been a wise champion for old growth within his territories, and he's elder of the Rainforest Flying Fund. Rainbow Eyes is an Indigenous land guardian of Fairy Creek, and she has worked for 4 years as a guardian in the Night Inlet, where she helps to protect the lands, waters, wildlife, and cultural values for future generations. Hearing the call of the forest and following instructions from elders of the territories, ancestors, and spirits, Rainbow Eyes has been a defender of ancient forests on Vancouver Island, including up at Fairy Creek, since 2020. Everyone, please welcome Elder Bill Rainbow Eyes.
Hello, my people. We are here to save our old growth. I have an odd thought that came to me. It starts off like you can't see the trees for the forest, and then you can't see the forest for the trees. And I realized that we can't see ourselves for the people until we see ourselves, and then we see ourselves and we see us all, and we become that forest, which we are. So I'm praising you all. You are my inspiration, my hope, and indeed you are the hope of the last of our old growth. We're from everywhere in BC here. I listen to people from Quesnel and thereabouts, and then from the Sunshine Coast. So I do know that we all are working, and now we're coming together. And here's Rainbow Eyes to help us.
Jada Tesla, Numugwis Rainbow Eyes, Numugwis Gwixi Salas. I'm a member of the Awaetlala First Nation, and our traditional territory is Night Inlet. Acknowledgment! Hey! How many people here were at Fairy Creek? This is it. This is our family. This is the whole reason why we are where we are. It's because the trees are being cut down, but it was always the plan. It was always the plan that we would come together, because this is for the people. This is for the people to come together and gather and feel something that we don't feel separated like we do in normal society. And because this is for the people, I want to call up Cookie. Who knows Cookie? Cookie has a really important announcement. For those of you that don't know, Cookie was the cook at Fairy Creek. She was the heart of the camp. We would not be her incredible food. Cookie, love you, love you.
What can I say, but I fed you your stomachs and you fed my heart. I found a community amongst the trees. And now as we go through the hours and days of courts, which is on pause right now, you'll come through Nanaimo and we're there to feed you, to bring you back and forth to court, to bed you in my home, to put up your tent in my backyard, whatever it takes. But I just want you to say that my work at Fairy Creek hasn't ended, as none of yours has ended, and it will never end until it was just beans and lentils and rice, but it comes from the heart, and we'll keep doing that as long as we're going through the courts and as long as this fight's on. We'll keep feeding you and loving you. So when you come to Nanaimo, you know you have a home.
Tesla cookie. We wouldn't be here if we weren't a community all here together. That's so important. We're here because we're a community, and that's everything. I want to call up Pacheedaht next, and she has something really quick she wants to say. Woo!
Sego, my name is Daryl Hannah. I come from the Mohawk and Seneca Nations Turtle Clan, and I just wanted to make a quick announcement to say that the violence against the land and the violence against the people are inseparable conversations, and I wanted to let everybody know and to let you know that you should research on your own time the people who are committing much of this violence, which is the RCMP detachment, the CIRG, Community Industry Response Group.
Who are filming us from the balcony up there.
Hello! Please research these groups on your own time and know that they are both deeply interconnected and inseparable. Thank you.
We wouldn't be here unless it was for every single person's voice, and that's why we have to all do this together. Nelson, all the communities in the mountain, everybody that's doing this together, we can only do it if we stand together. The government doesn't really listen, and that's what we found at Fairy Creek. We got arrested because they weren't listening. This is what they listen to, the people. It's up to us. Recently this week, we went to Ottawa with the Congress of Aboriginal with Grandma Losa, and we spoke at a climate conference there, and we were talking about how the Indigenous people, it's in our blood to stand up for Mother Earth. It's in all of our blood to stand up for Mother Earth. They cannot criminalize us for standing up for Mother Earth like what we're doing. But if enough of us do it, come together in love, the message is easy. The message is simple. It's love, peace, unity. It's going around the planet right now. Feel it. We have it here. The message is simple. It's love. It's peace. It's unity. It's the Rainbow Nation.
We have so many people who want to talk to you, and I know we're from all over BC, so I am most happy to welcome you all here. And come up to Fairy Creek, and or we'll go up to Cornell or the Sunshine Coast. Kwakwaka'wakw.
What an afternoon. The fight to protect the land that we call British Columbia is led first and foremost by the people of the land, as we've just been reminded. And so many Indigenous youth in particular have stood up to be leaders in defending the land and protecting these trees. Our next speaker, Janelle Lapointe, is an Afro-Indigenous climate justice and Indigenous rights activist from Stellat'en First Nation and is a guest currently on the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam territories. She leans on her lived experience growing up on her small reserve in northern BC to ensure that intersectionality and interconnectedness is at the forefront of the environmental narratives we hear every day. This to build power and to help others see our stake in fighting back against the status quo that is robbing us of our forests. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Janelle Lapointe.
Hadi, Suzy, Janelle Lapointe, Stellat'en Incas, Laksoyu Asli, Alu, and Michelle Baker, Aba, and Renee Lapointe, Katsu, and Emma Baker, Atsien, and William Baker. Hello, everybody. Hadi! My name is Janelle Lapointe. I am Caribou Clan from Stellat'en First Nation. It's located in the northern interior of so-called British Columbia. I have been doing climate justice and Indigenous rights organizing since 2018. I was attending Thomson Rivers University. I was in my third year. I was feeling pretty homesick, and I attended this university awards gala, and they had an elder from close to my territory, from the Causley, and she was giving a land acknowledgement and beginning with an opening prayer. And she reminded me so much of my Atsu, Emma Baker, and she was telling a story about our responsibility as guests on subquamic lands in so-called Kamloops. And I was closing my eyes and I was listening to her words, and I was feeling a connection to these lands and to my own lands. I was missing my grandmother, missing my culture. And when I opened my eyes, I saw this sweet elder who had just given such a generous prayer and welcoming being quickly rushed off stage by men in suits, and followed by a great big $500,000 check from then Kinder Morgan, now known as Trans Mountain Pipeline. So what I was seeing was a very visual representation of how so-called Canada has always operated. A swift removal of an Indigenous elder to make way for money that was buying the consent of the university, despite there being an ongoing resistance from the Secwepemc people whose land we were on. So that's where I started organizing, but my activism started long before that. In many ways, protecting the land and the water is my birthright. And I made it pretty evident when my third grade teacher had us present on our favorite animals at school. So I don't know what your favorite animal was when you were around 8 years old, but for most kids, it's usually like a puppy or a kitty or maybe like a lion or a tiger. And I got up in front of my class and explained to everyone what my favorite animal was, and still is, and that is wild sockeye salmon. So my love for wild salmon is very much what drives my work. It was my starting point, but my love for salmon alone is not enough. And so today I'm here to say, I know we're all here because our love for forests and our love for trees, and even though I wish that was enough, it's not. I don't want to come here and talk to you as an environmentalist or an activist, but rather as simply a human being, a very shy res kid who grew up on my lands and was very observant. And what I witnessed was the lands I call home being overlogged, being clear-cutted. I grew up along the Highway 16 that was forced through my territory, which is known as a highway of tears, where Indigenous women and girls go disproportionately missing or murdered. And what I noticed is that the same forces that were destroying these cultural sites, the forests, the places that were destroying the salmon stocks and the streams, was connected to the mill closures, was connected to the unsafe working conditions of settler communities in my area. So our love is not enough for a single being, for the salmon and for the trees. When Indigenous people are the ones that bear the brunt of the climate crisis, have been on the front lines of the old growth forest resistance, and have been the strongest force in so-called Canada for resisting extraction. Our love for a single being, like a tree or a salmon, isn't enough when workers who are being exploited just as much of the land are taught to be our enemies, are taught that they're not part of a movement to fight against the common enemy that are the corporate executives. It's not enough when we are taught to turn away from people who don't agree with us because their fears are being exploited by powers that only serve the corporate elite that are making money off our backs. And so I'm here today to hold David Eby, our Premier's feet to the fire, his commitment to act on accelerate old growth, which means putting down the chainsaws today and no longer logging these precious ecosystems. But to also not forget the communities that are exploited and are divided. And that includes Indigenous communities that are supporting the extraction because they're left no other option from the settler state and the poverty that is forced upon them. So we're also asking David Eby and the government and the federal government to reparate all the money they made off Indigenous lands, to make sure they're returning it back to the community, returning land back to the nations so that deferrals are economically viable and Indigenous nations can use their governance systems and their way of taking care of the land and each other that has allowed them to survive for millennia. And also asking, and also asking them to invest in a just transition for the workers that are trying to provide for their loved ones, just like all of us are, and ensure that they're able to have a sustainable industry and ways to provide to their family and their loved ones that is not dependent on destroying the precious ecosystems that we all depend on. So with these calls to actions to the government, it also means looking inwards, looking at ourselves and looking at each other. So a reminder that a love for a single species is not enough. You have to have love for each other. That means the people that are here right now, right today. And also to always be thinking of the people that have not joined us and all the reasons why they may have not. That has everything to do with the corporate elite, with the billionaires hiding behind our government being beholden to, and our government being beholden to corporate interests that leave us divided and leave us suffering. I think that veil has lifted now more than ever, where we see the rising cost of living, we see opioid epidemics and drug poisoning crisis, where we're seeing the last of the old growth being destroyed. We're seeing pipelines pushed through Indigenous territories, all while the billionaires put more money in their pockets. So let's remember what systems we're fighting against. Let's extend the love that we have for the trees, the love for the wild salmon, the love for all the species that were so beautifully painted and marched with us down today, and to always focus on the enemy and create a movement so powerful that our governments, our so-called progressive governments, can no longer be beholden to the corporate interests, and the democracy can belong back to us, the people. So I want to say thank you. In my language, we have quite a few words for thank you, and the one I use when I'm speaking is Snachalya. And Snachalya was told to me by the same elder who was very rudely rushed off stage to make way for that big fat check. She explained it to me as a deep thank you. That means my spirit is thanking you for your spirit. So Snachalya for being here, Snachalya for the organizers and the volunteers, and Snachalya for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you for being here. From a powerful youth voice reminding us that the system is working as it was planned. That's why change and justice only comes when we do this on and on and on again. Next, we're going to hear from someone who has brought environmentalism and Indigenous justice into our homes for most of our lifetimes. I hope you'll join me in welcoming Dr. David Suzuki, a biologist and legendary broadcaster, is the host of The Nature of Things. He's been a tireless advocate for one sacred planet and for Indigenous rights. In fact, he has been the recipient of 8 names from Indigenous communities, both on this continent and as well as Australia. It is
excuse me, when you're standing there, you're blocking the view of the whole
Thank you.
I thought I'd let you know.
What an honor to be part of this crowd today. Congratulations to whoever organized this. This doesn't just happen spontaneously. It's been a long time coming. Thank you all for coming out and telling the government this is not just an issue that a few hippies or pot smoking something or others are doing. This is a broad movement. Do not expect Mr. Eby to do the right thing. Not because he's evil or stupid or not caring. He's trapped within the political system. And if we're going to operate within that system, we have to show political clout. That's what you're about here today, and that has to continue. A one-off thing is not going to do it. We've got to somehow keep this up. I think that we should go to every riding office, and we should be appearing there every week, week after week. We've got to show that this isn't just a single issue. You see, we are at a critical moment. We've run out of time for all of this bickering. We have been invaded, and we have spread this invasive mentality, a mentality that now, instead of seeing ourselves as deeply embedded in a web of relationships with all other species of animals and plants, with the air, the water, the soil, and the sunlight, which is the way that for 99% of human existence, we understood that's what we were. We were one strand in a web of relationships. And Indigenous people continue to tell us, when you're in that kind of a relationship with the rest of creation, you've got responsibilities. And you see the thrust now. You go down to the corners in Vancouver now, there are signs, recall EB. Have you seen that? This is it's a legacy of the truckers, the anti-vax movement, all of this stuff. And when you confront them, it's about freedom. Freedom without responsibility is not freedom, that's anarchy, and that's a rejection of society. So understand, we have a relationship that gives us responsibilities. And the problem we face today is that we have been very recently come out and removed ourselves from a web of relationships to thinking we live in a pyramid where we're at the top and everything down below is for us. And even when you hear, we have forgotten that we are one animal species. We live on the surface of the land. We know nothing about what's in the oceans that cover 70% of the planet. And yet we've invaded over 85% of the oceans have already been invaded. We have taken over the land, which is our area of living. We've taken over 75% of it. 25% of the wilderness remains. And that 25%, 70% of that is in 5 countries. Russia, the United States, but that's Alaska, Australia, Brazil, and Canada. We are the repository of some of the last great wildernesses, particularly the boreal forest, but also the coastal temperate rainforest, which is a very, very precious and endangered ecosystem on the planet. We've got to acknowledge that we don't know anything. We don't know anything about these systems, even in the land which we occupy. I say we still act as if we are so smart that we can manage everything. We're managing the air quality. We're managing our waters. And we're managing our forests. Well, if that's management, we have really fucked up the world because we don't know enough to manage anything. And we've got to acknowledge that as scientists as well. If we're going to manage anything, it seems to me we need to have at least 2 things. We need an inventory of everything in whatever area you want to manage, and you need a blueprint showing how everything within that system is interconnected and interact. We have virtually none of that knowledge on land, let alone in the oceans or underground. You know, we used to think that life ended at bedrock, and yet these drills kept going down further and further for oil, and they kept coming up contaminated with bacteria. And finally someone said, where the heck is this contamination coming from? And you know what? They discovered life goes down over 7 kilometers underground. And when you start thinking, these are bacteria, some of them only divide once every 1,000 years. They are so different from anything we know on the surface of the planet that we've had to invent new phyla. Now, anybody that knows anything about biology, that's like saying, my God, we've discovered life on Mars. We have to create a whole new system to identify those creatures. And that's what we're discovering down there. Stephen Jay Gould said, if life exists 7 kilometers down, life on the surface is a very thin skin. Calculate the concentration of bacteria, and guess what? The weight of bacteria underground is greater than the weight of all living things above the ground. We know nothing about what's down there, but we want to pump our carbon dioxide under there, without knowing anything that goes on down there. I met one of the leading scientists who's studying these creatures under the ground, and I said, you know, Alberta is planning to pump billions of tons of carbon dioxide underground. What will that do to the life forms down there? And he said, I have no idea, but the methanogens will love that. What are they? They're bacteria that eat carbon dioxide and give off methane. So we're going to take... Anyway, that's the insanity of our ideas. Our economic, our political, and our judicial systems are all based on a pyramid. It's all about us. And so all of the little things that we're trying to do, oh, we need a park here, oh, we need a tax over here, these are just little incremental shifts that do nothing about changing the notion that we're at the top. Why have Indigenous people become so important in these issues that we face today? Because they are the people around the world fighting for their land, not just because it's a source of who they are, but that they have a responsibility to care for the land. And you know that the Brundtland report that came out in 1987 called Our Common Future, in that it says the only people with a track record of living sustainably in place for thousands of years are the Indigenous people. And now it's time to put them, we've got to give that land back and let them show us how we treat that land with respect. Thank you.
No justice without land back. We've heard from so many powerful people, and we're going to close with a musical act. But before we go there, we hear from one more powerful voice from the land, in fact. From the Kwakwaka'wakw territories on northern Vancouver Island, we're about to welcome Numugwis. He is a hereditary chief and member of the Kwakiutl, and is the grandson of legendary Kwakwaka'wakw leader Mungo Martin. Chief Knox is also a carver, a fisherman, a fierce advocate for the land and for the people. I hope... Sneaky. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Chief Dave Knox.
I got to acknowledge that we're on Coast Salish land, and I got to bring up the 3 nations on Vancouver Island. We got Coast Salish, we got the Chana, you got the Kwakwaka'wakw. I'm from the Kwakwaka'wakw. From Comox to Smiths is Kwakwaka'wakw territory. There's 18 nations within the Kwakwaka'wakw. 2 tribes got amalgamated back in the early 60s. So you know, but where to start? There's so much I want to talk about. But I'm going to talk about why we're here, why this ancient old growth is so important to be who we are as this people of this land. Those roots are embedded into the valleys through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. That's why we call it the ancient old growth mother life of tree. There's a reason why we call it the mother tree of life, because other trees, medicines, berries live up those roots that house a canopy when they're where the salmon spawn. When, you know, in 1913, the Royal Commission, 1914, a hereditary chief from Fort Rupert implemented 1,000 meters on each side of the river for buffer zones. Lucky we got 30 meters nowadays. And those poor salmon, they're suffering. They go out, and it's just not about the old growth. It's about the whole ancient ecosystem with it, the owls and vertebrates, the mammals, the owls. Everything is so connected, and we're so connected with the world, with the air, the land, and the sky, and also the supernatural world. Us coastal people stretching this whole Pacific Northwest coast, we believe in the sky, the land, the ocean, and the supernatural world. That's who we are as people of this land. We date back 14,000 years, and that's through time immemorial, because the digger we deep, the more we're from here. That's 700 generations, and we're still kicking. Even though the animals... And there's, where do I really want to start? But I'll keep talking about the old growth. But yeah, I got happy thoughts going on, and this event's amazing, and I ended up going to the... But I actually went to the COP15 back in early December. That was amazing, being around 198 countries, 22,000 people, and meeting Aboriginal people of the land from all around the world. We all carry the same story of the implementation of the government with these laws. Who made those policies? We had our own laws before the boat people came here. And in 1849 was banning on the potlatch. And Fort Rupert has two Douglas treaties that were signed in 1851. That's 172 years ago. I'm bad at math, but it's hovering about there. It's almost 2 centuries, you know, and the government has to listen to the people of the land. It's all our land now because we share it with everyone, but we are the people of the land. So let's find objectives to make it right for the future. People live in the moment. It's more than just the moment for us. We think about 7 generations ahead of time and just not about the moment. So it's really time to gather and collect and to unite and to join hands, and let's all walk together to save what we have left on this poor Mother Earth that's so mad at us right now. Because if industry keeps us up, watching through the past histories through life, we're in for industrial collapse. That's devastation for all mankind, just not for the people of the land. It's for everyone that's going to be devastated. You know, because I'm going to bring up these factory draggers too, because I'm touching on everything right now. Because everything is so connected. You know, DFO allows 7 factory draggers up in northern end of Vancouver Island. They're 350 feet. They pack 1 million pounds. I know this because I was on a trawler for 6 years, so I know the impact. I was a halibut fisherman for 25 years. So I got all kinds of great stories, and so I don't miss fishing. Yeah, so back to the point, because what happened on the East Coast is happening on our coast right now. And I just went out this past springtime, and I've seen the devastation where it's harder to catch the fish. Like the top end of Vancouver Island should be shut down in January till end of April. Let the cod spawn. Salmon produce every 4 years. Cod. Some of those cod we catch are so old, and they take a long time to reproduce. But yet DFO allows them in our territory to harvest. And now some of this stuff's getting sold for pet food. They're raping the juvenile kinder girl grounds that's sold to a plant in Port Hardy. It gets shipped to Alberta. 40 countries buy all of this premature fish. They're juvenile fish. Let them grow to the size and then harvest. How is that sustainable? I'm also going to bring up, I met Honorable Joyce there, and I said, where's our provincial DFO? But my biggest question right now is, how do we implement stewardship in all levels of the ministries and industry? That's the biggest key right there, because we got forestry, we got mining, we got agriculture, and we got DFO. So everything's all connected to us, the people of the land. But I know we're all cold, so but I could keep on talking. I've so many stuff to say, but I'm actually going to call up my cousin, Tom Child Jr., and he's going to belch out a song for us to capture this moment for all of us being here.
Numugwis, get little clock tight. What he'd done for the whole Pacific Northwest coast was unbelievable. Because back in the day, smallpox caused devastation for our people and everything. My village was over 10,000 strong. We got wiped down to 198. We're finally back up to a little over 900 now. And he taught Haida how to sing and how to carve again because smallpox devastated the whole coast. And, okay, sorry, I just had to do the break for it. I got to bring up one more really important thing. Is I need your help. We got to tell the government, and I need BC's help, to say no more spraying pesticides in our forests. If we allow this, it's another cultural genocide. It's killing our berries, our medicines. It's killing stuff that's so important to be who we are as people of the land, just so stakeholders can make more money. That is so wrong. So I need your help. We need to get vocal. We got to stop pesticide spraying. The South End's going to get sprayed first, then they're coming up to my territory. But we got to lock arms now. We got to get vocal. No more pesticide spraying. It's important to who we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everyone that's still with us. I just want to let you know, as we head into our last act here, there will also be a closing ceremony in prayer. So for the hardy among you, please stick around until the end. I also need to apologize to Samuela, who during the whole Neil thing came up here looking for his brother, Leonardo. So if Samuela and Leonardo are not yet united, please come toward the stage. And my apologies, Samuela. I lost myself there. All right, our final performer before we close is a West Coast singer-songwriter from right here on Vancouver Island. She was born into a very musical family, I'm told, with a background in marine biology, and she loves to weave art and science together into her music as a way to empower folks. Everyone, please give a warm, warm welcome to Miss Sarah Osborne.
I'm very, very proud of all of you coastal temperate rainforest people for being out in this friggin' cold, so yes. I'm just gonna pick this up for a bit. Thank you so much for having me. Everyone saw that Neil Young opened for me, right? Going in my resume. So I call myself a recovering marine biologist. I got a little too sensitive and needed to take a break from science for a while. I'd love to chat if you ever want to about that. And I've decided I'm a little too sensitive and I need to be an artist now. So thank you. I bring my voice to you today. I write a lot about nature, mostly with an ocean perspective, but it's all connected, as we've talked about a lot today. This first song I'm going to play you is called Fire Moon, and I was driving out from Artswells, BC, and I saw my first forest fire I've ever seen in my life. I don't know about you, but does anyone see that and it breaks your friggin' heart? And when you see a tree fall, it breaks your friggin' heart. Yeah? It's sad. So this is Fire Moon. I'm here to talk. I'm here to sing, not to talk. Alright, here we go. Ooh, 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 moon of fire rises into sight. Sweet desire ripens with the night. Cones and flowers are falling to the ground. Sweet summer kid, all the smoke is all around. Burns in my heart like a wildfire, destroys everything like a natural disaster. I can see you, I feel you, I hear you, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. Well, they left nothing but ash and black in their past. But making room for new life to bloom from their rags. I watch from above as you float across their roof. In this crowd of thousands, baby, oh, I feel this too. One is me, one is you. It burns in my heart like a wildfire, destroys everything like a natural disaster. I can see you, I feel you, I hear you, baby, I breathe you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, big pink sun rises with their dawn. Can't help but feel the warning coming on. Oh, something's coming for me. Ooh, that I can't see. Oh, something's coming for me. Ooh, that I can't see. It burns in my heart like a wildfire, destroys everything like a natural disaster. I can see you, I can feel you, I can hear Has anyone been to Strathcona Park up here in Buttle Lake? Yes, beautiful, beautiful country there. Sometimes I'm a little naive and I love to swim in any body of water that's like a foot high, especially on a nice day. And I was swimming somewhere around there and someone said, "Hey, that's a mine runoff." And I thought, oh my God. Anyway, this is Lake Zone. Even with the stingers and wild beasts near here, nothing to say, nothing to say. Here, and she rose to a new lake and gets lost again in her home, in her old way. So she rose to a new day. The sun goes down behind the mountain. The lake a mirror. Well, everything above swimming in this ancient fountain. I feel nothing but love, nothing but love. Love. Why can't it stay like this? Just the way it is, the way it is. He said the only thing the same is everything changing. Well, that's the way it is, the way it is. Well, that's the way it is, the way it is. Yeah. She rose to a new lake and gets lost again in her old way. So she rose to a new day. Are we gonna chop down our ocean? Drag nets across the forest floor. When will we remember our notion? Oh, when will we stop asking for more? For you, and it's a celebration of the little joys in life, because yes, there's a lot of despair and things going wrong in the world, but I do like to focus on the little joys. So on the count of 3, I want you to shout out your favorite little joy in life, whether it's coffee, trees, hugs, drums, guitar, whatever you want. Yes, ready? Alright, warm, the warm hot chocolate. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. I didn't make, it was all just one sort of. This is my tune, Sweet Cherry Blossom, and there's a verse in it, and I just want to say it out loud. We can't be afraid of the fight against the evil charade. So look up from the ground, take my hands, and help us break out of this cage, because I come from a place of believing in a better way. This is Sweet Cherry Blossom. I'm Sarah Osborne. Thank you to the volunteers and the organizers and everybody who came out today. Thank you to you for staying to the very, very end. Yes, Sarah! I'll see you soon. Changing as quickly as my mood. But you got a potion, yeah, baby, love, you got a cure. Well, I come from the cold, from the dark, from the gray. Packed my bags and took a train. Came along and made my day. My sweet cherry blossom, do you know how good you make me feel? Yeah. My sweet cherry blossom, could it be that this is all for real? Oh, tell me it's real. Is it real? Oh, tell me it's real. We can't be afraid of the fight against this evil charade. Look out from the ground, take my hand and help us break out of this cage. As I come from the days of believing in a better way, we're not alone and not afraid. Yeah. 'Cause a lion and a spy and a dying one, they've got no place. Our secret space of my sweet cherry blossom. Do you know how good you make me feel? My sweet cherry blossom. Could it be that this is all for you? Oh, tell me it's real. cherry blossom, my sweet 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 cherry blossom. Do you know how good you make me feel? To see Neil Young, and I'm walking away pretty excited to listen to more Sarah Osborne when I go home. Right? Yeah. All right, well, friends, I was assuming that those of you that are still here, like me, have put 3 layers on, or 4, actually, as it were. But I wanted to just, before we move to Chiyokten, who's going to close us off as well as he opens us up, a few reminders for a person that we like to call Premier David Eby. Remember why we were here? First of all, it is not only time, but long past time, to require free, prior, and informed consent for all decisions around forestry. No exceptions. Really. No more words. We need action. We also need Premier Eby and his government to step up. We know he wants to. We just need to invite him into that space and set aside all at-risk old growth and implement all 14 recommendations of the Old Growth Strategic Review. And, so importantly, ensure fulsome funding for First Nations that are disproportionately impacted. They need meaningful options for how to live well on their land. The government needs to step up. It is time. Gosh, it's been time for so long. It is time for this government, this NDP government, not one in the future, not next year. It needs to be the one that shifts us away from old growth. Can you believe we still clear-cut forests in 2023? David Eby, we have some hope that you will lead your government to do the right thing. Thank you so much. All right. To help us all take a deep breath, I would like you all to welcome Chiyokten back to the stage. It's going to close us off well. You might need another moment. I wish I had a real great joke to tell you right now. Are you bringing up friends, Chiyokten? Oh, this is exciting. All right, everyone. Come around. If you've spread out to the back, come on in. You know, whatever makes you feel safe. And that's all. Welcome, Chiyokten. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Actually, I'm going to give a housekeeping note so that I don't need to do it afterwards. If you could, actually, the banners are already off, so I don't think I need to tell you to help with the banners. They're gone. Never mind. If people would like to help take the banners apart and load them up, the driveway over here on the left is where you should go and help us out. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Those of you that stayed the whole time, thank you so much. And welcome to Chiyokten.
OCM, CM. It's good feelings to see the hardcore warriors left here today. I just gotta raise my hands to you. They always say that when you go to a gathering, you should do your best to leave early. When you hear about Indian time, and people think it's just about being irresponsible. Showing up any old time But the truth is that our old people would leave even a day early, so that when they pulled up on the shore in their snoquith and their canoe, they could sit there and they could talk and they could share their feelings and they'd even sing songs as they sat there in their canoe. They wouldn't get out their canoe for quite a while, my mom says, because my mom traveled off to the islands, our traditional islands, in canoe. My mom, Pacheedaht, can you say her name? Pacheedaht. She was born in the Chiyokten, in the longhouse of our people. The open fires, cedar plank walls and roof boards, and the smoke washing over you. We were still living in the multiple family structures at that time, still surrounded by elders, given the understandings of who we are as human beings in every moment of every day, standing up and delivering those words, things that we only have moments to hear now. And I really pray that these decision makers can hear the words of our people as our Hiwak, our chieftain leaders had spoke of, that they need to hear our voice. They need to hear our word. So we're going to leave you with a prayer here. And there were so many prayer words given. So many prayer words given today. We'll leave you here. My partner Shai play the kum-kum, the drum, and we'll leave you here with this medicine from the flute and drum about the sacredness of water, about the sacredness of these ancient ecosystems that once thrived here everywhere, as our people thrived here everywhere before contact. But I know we can return to that wellness within ourselves and around us. We can do that together, unified. Ocean. Always remember that the love that you have in your heart is stronger than any of the greed, any of the control, any of the dominance and abuse that has come to these lands, to all the living beings. We've seen so much harm. Our people, our First Peoples, and yet we still continue to give. We still continue to share what we've always shared. Because greed was illegal on these lands for many thousands of years. And the potlatching ways of our people, our intellectual, spiritual house leader people in the families in which I come from, would self-impoverish. They would give everything, gather for 2 years. 2 years, gather things, 26 moon cycles, only to give it all away, except for a few ceremonial items. So something that settler colonial world can learn from: how to love, how to give, what a human being looks like in the ways of taking care of Mother Earth and being unseparated from even the water. Ocean, Haiska. Thank each and every one of you, and we'll see you all again. Love each and every one of you. Thomas is done.
Take that home with you in your hearts, everybody. Nothing like a preach. Thank you. Get home safely. You might have noticed there's a little bit of snow fluttering about here. Thank you all so much for making it out, for staying out, for dancing, for singing, and for fighting for Old Growth Forest. Thank you, everyone. Go home with love in your hearts.